giants
People who came from the
in
sky.
the sky. Yeah.
Hey, yo. What up, bro? No, you're on mute.
I don't know why I did that, but anyways,
I don't know why I did that either. Man,
you
I'm
hear
good.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I hear you now.
All right. Yeah, it's been. I had to. I got a new computer, so I had to set some stuff up. I guess so it's been kind of weird, but I think we're good.
All right. Yep. You're good. You're good. Welcome to Minute Letters, guys. Early edition. We've been competing with the NFL since we started. We will not try to compete with the Super Bowl. We will not try to compete with that. We've been losing to the NFL as much as it is just regular season games. So
Right.
So we decided to do an early show. I'm Shad.
I'm Kobe.
And we are the Minute Letters, and we talk about the weird, the creepy, the paranormal, the supernatural, and all things in between.
Things that keep you up at night. Yep.
Yeah. So we got a good one for you today. As you guys know, we always kind of do a little what we like to call a dissertation. Today, we picked this one. It is Lake Michigan. Some pretty interesting things on that. I've not really been able to watch this video entirely. So a lot of the stuff on there is probably going to be pretty surprising to me.
Yeah. It's from the Tale tapes. Or no, not the Tale. Yeah, the tape library. I don't want to call them the Tale. They do pretty good videos. And it's about the horrors and legends of Lake Michigan. A lot of interesting stuff from paranormal to UFO sightings. So you'll think it's a gateway to a different, realm. So I didn't know it was so haunted. I think Lake Michigan's connected to Minnesota. I know it's Illinois. It's not Illinois. It's like Chicago, then Lake Michigan. I'm not sure if we're connected to it or not. I can look it up, but yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought, does Minnesota touch Lake Michigan? Right?
About to look it up.
I don't think so. No, it doesn't. It doesn't touch it.
Oh,
Wisconsin, no, but we don't touch it. But anyway,
we touch Lake Superior.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought that. Oh man, I didn't do good geography. But anyways,
yeah, we should have known that, but oh well.
Yeah, we should have definitely known that. But yeah, let's check it out. This is from again the tape library. Shout them out. We're gonna try to, keep it brief. I know everybody got things to do today and Super Bowl parties, so let's have a good time.
All right, cool. You got it. All right.
Oh my god. I should have had all this stuff ready to go.
I got it queued up. You want me to do it?
Hold on. Let me see if we can do this real quick. Give me stand by, yo.
All right. We got a comment in here from Shell. What up, fam? Happy Super Bowl Sunday. All right, Shell, thanks for joining. We appreciate it. You are the only one in the chat, so not a whole lot. Not a whole lot.
Well, I'll be right back, y'all. It's gonna make me quit and reopen. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So while Kobe does that, I will entertain you. He just got a new system, so he's trying to, get through all that. I believe this is his first show working off of that system. So but once he gets it going, it'll be pretty dope. Easy for him to use and all that good stuff. But you get new things, you got to figure it out in order to make it work properly. So So again, like we mentioned, the Super Bowl is today, and we do not want to compete with it. And we only got one person in the chat, Shell. So, Shell, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? Do you have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Zebras, or do you have the Eagles? I think the Eagles are better of the two teams. I would like to see Mahomes win another championship because this is some legendary stuff that he's doing right now. Will probably end up being the GOAT by the time his career is over. And I like to see history in the making, but I do think the Eagles are a better team. Kansas City can win this game, though, if the refs help them out. So we'll see what happens with that. So y'all let us know who you got. Again, there's only one person in the chat. So Shell says that's a tough one. Eagles are better, but I think it's going to be rigged and they will make Kansas City win. Yeah, I think so too.
All right, let's see if I can get this to go. If not, you can just take it over. But they weren't good to go.
Okay, cool.
All right, again, and I got the Chiefs, if anybody cares. But again, this is the Tails tape library. Oh man, the tape library, and it's the Horrifying Legends of Michigan. So we'll see what they're talking about.
All right.
The year was 1875, and it was a warm August morning when a discovery was made. A 100-foot-long schooner named the Rosabelle was found floating upside down, just 40 miles away from Milwaukee. A team quickly rushed to the ship, concerned that the crew may still be alive and in grave danger. But there was no trace of them. All 10 men who were on board when the ship set sail across Lake Michigan were gone. The ship was virtually undamaged. The weather had been clear on the day it had set out. No trace of the crew could be found in the surrounding waters. It was like they had just vanished. No one could figure out what had caused the incident to happen. The prevailing theory was that it had been involved in some kind of collision, but the Coast Guard determined this could not have been the case. Some suggested that maybe it ran into a storm further east. This also appears to be disputed. The Rosabelle was in such good condition still and filled with its lumber supplies that it had left with. So it was simply righted up and towed.
Milwaukee's like a poor man's Minneapolis.
Soon enough, it was back in service, as if nothing had ever happened.
Yeah.
October 30th, 1921. After the tragedy that had happened nearly 50 years earlier, the Rosabelle had become a common sight on the waters of Lake Michigan and had no further issues.
Hey, me too, Bob.
That was, until this day. Captain Ed Johnson apparently awoke from his sleep in a startled way.
The Chiefs and the Zebras.
He had just experienced a terrible nightmare. He was due to command the ship, but in his dream he had seen a terrible end for the Rosabelle. Something about the dream genuinely shook him. This wasn't just pre-expedition jitters. He genuinely believed it was a premonition of sorts. So much so that he refused to step foot on the boat. The following day, the Rosabelle was found yet again, upside down. This time there was damage to the ship, but no collision was reported.
So you keep that right?
Yeah, another ship that they found upside down.
This man dreamed about this boat, and then before he got on it, he refused to get on it, and then the next day it was flipped, just like all these other boats.
Yeah. So yeah, some type of premonition.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, very.
Covered the other ship that may have crashed into it, and also, in an eerily familiar situation, no sign of its crew could be found. A tragic but completely plausible nautical coincidence, right? But maybe not, when you consider the horrifying legends of Lake Michigan.
No!
Get yourself a warm drink, dim the lights, and get comfortable. It's been a little while since we delved into a place of high strangeness. From haunted lighthouses to ghost ships, disappearing people to disasters in both the sea and the air. And of course, one of the most widely reported UFO sightings of all time. The dark secrets of Lake Michigan has it all. Welcome to the Tape Library. For those who might not be familiar, To call Lake Michigan a lake might be technically correct, but doesn't do justice to its scale. This is one of the 5 Great Lakes of North America, spanning over 22,000 square miles. 4 separate states run along its shorelines, and it had been a key trading route for many ships for hundreds of years. It can be an unforgiving place to sail, especially back then, but the sheer number of ships the lake has claimed over the years is astonishing. To get into the various disasters that have taken place would take hours, but let's talk about some of the more notable ones. Numerous ships have gone missing on Lake Michigan. The problem is, in some cases, people keep seeing them. The Griffin is often cited as the first ship to fall prey to the curse of Lake Michigan.
What?
Weighing 45 tons, the ship was constructed in Lake Erie in 1679. In August of that year, the ship set sail for Green Bay. It had just loaded up with furs there and was then headed to Niagara, but it never made it there. And no trace of the ship or its crew was ever found. Rumours have, of course, circulated around the years. Reports from a lighthouse keeper were discovered, who claimed he had found a group of skeletons huddled together in a cave off of the lake that he believed could have been the crew of the Griffin. And there is also the story that a group of Native Americans stumbled across the ship's crew and warned them that they were heading into a particularly nasty storm. The captain of the ship ignored the tribe's warnings and sailed off into it anyway, never to be seen again. There were also accusations of mutiny, of the crew turning on their captain to keep the precious furs for themselves. But if this were true, none of those men ever seemed to resurface in the area. But over the centuries that have passed, many sailors have reported seeing a ship that matches the description of the Griffin, moving across the waters late at night. Some have even gone as far to say that when they attempted to approach the ship, it simply vanished. The Griffin is far from the only ship to have met a deadly fate on the waters of Lake Michigan, and it is also far from the only one that is reported as being seen again. One such ship was the Chicora, a 217-foot-long wooden steamer that went missing in 1895. Remnants of the ship were discovered, and even a couple of messages in bottles washed up on beaches, apparently telling of difficulties the ship was having.
How long they been? They in 1895. How long they been using these lakes?
Oh
Like,
man,
dang.
yeah, since forever. Yeah, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, Lake Superior. Yeah, I mean,
Giant lakes. Like
Good-
you,
good-
like I've been to Lake Superior, and it's like an ocean. And I
Yeah.
don't think we've even explored everything in Lake Superior. It's
Right.
so cold.
yeah, too damn cold. Yep. It's huge though.
But once again, the full
Yeah.
wreckage was not found, and neither were any of its crew. A fantastically strange detail to this ship's story was that, much like the captain of the Rosabelle, the captain had concerns about the trip that day, due to a bad omen that involved the ship's clerk, James R. Clark, who had apparently been with a friend who had shot a duck that had landed on the ship, something that was seen as an act that could cause bad luck. Simple superstition, of course, but maybe the death of that duck led to not only the tragic end of the ship, but maybe it is to blame for the fact that Chicora is another ship that is reported as being seen silently gliding across the lake in the years that followed its disappearance. It appears, however, these phantom ships are not just echoes of a tragic past playing out. Some have reported interacting not just with the ships, but more disturbingly, with the crews on board. At some point in the 1990s, a small group of weekend sailors had taken their sailboats out for an afternoon trip
aboard too?
just outside of St. Joseph.
Yeah, it's that not only the ships, you'll see the crew on board.
Mm,
Man,
that's wild. That's wild.
In Michigan. They were caught off guard when a fog bank rolled into the area, dropping their visibility considerably. Then their engine conked out. The group quickly jumped on the radio to get help from the Coast Guard, but no response appeared to be coming through. The group of friends quickly became concerned. What was going on? How had their innocent day of fun turned south so quickly? But rescue swiftly came. Out of the thick mist, a second sailboat came into view, pulling up alongside them. The crew of the second ship quickly took the group on board and attached a tow line to their ship with the intention of taking them to St. Joseph. As they progressed along the way, the crew of the second ship told the friends of the dangers of the lake, how so many people had been caught out by unexpected weather changes over the years, and how lucky they were to have found them before anything happened. But then, their behaviour turned a little strange.
Mhm.
They instructed the group of friends to get back onto their ship just before they reached St. Joseph, and then they disconnected the tow line and disappeared back off into the fog. The friends were perplexed. They were close enough to St. Joseph now and out of the fog far enough that they believed someone else could help them the rest of the way, but as they shouted out to the other ship, it was like the crew totally ignored them. Suddenly, the Coast Guard showed up. They had actually received a distress call, but the group's radio for some reason hadn't allowed them to hear the Coast Guard's response. The Coast Guard had been out, searching in the fog for the ship, and were relieved to find them. They had been tracking them on their radar, which gave them a 24-mile radius to search. The Coast Guard towed them back to the St. Joseph port, and the two couples on board were relieved to be back on dry land. That was when they asked the Coast Guard about the other ship. The Coast Guard was confused. No other ship had been on their radar, and it did not show up when they saw the group's boat moving back towards St. Joseph. It was only when they spread the story around the area that a crew member on another ship claimed that their description of the boat that had come to rescue them sounded a lot like another that had been lost at sea 10 years prior.
I knew it.
It's not just the waters themselves that seem to be teeming with ghost stories.
Yep.
The communities that surround Lake Michigan are filled with countless supernatural goings-on, from bars and restaurants to hotels and parks. The many islands that litter the lake all seem to have their own creepy tales too. Lake Michigan is also home to over 100 lighthouses. And of course, it is said that every lighthouse has a ghost story.
Yeah, I've heard that.
The Fishwa Lighthouse is seemingly the most widely documented of these haunted towers. Apparently the home of the ghost of a lighthouse keeper by the name of Captain Townsend, who was born in Bristol before becoming a lighthouse keeper in the United States. He apparently died in painful circumstances, although I was unable to get clarity on what those circumstances were. The Historical Society, who now cares for the lighthouse, believe there are actually 5 different spirits residing there. Built in 1895, the lighthouse has a long history of keeping the sailors of Lake Michigan safe.
No,
The paranormal
not 5
activity
different
first
spirits.
began to be reported, though, in 1988. Inmates of a local prison were tasked with helping restore the lighthouse to its former glory. But very quickly, several of them refused to go up to the upstairs of the lighthouse alone, claiming that they believed that something was up there. Months later, a carpenter who was working up there alone stopped suddenly when he heard the sound of footsteps echoing in the hallway behind where he was working. He went to investigate but found no one else in the building. He went back to work, and the footsteps started up again. He claimed he distinctly heard them head towards the staircase and begin to walk down them. Once again he looked. With a clear view down the staircase from where he was standing, he could see they were totally empty. This was enough for the carpenter, who quickly grabbed his tools and left, refusing to return.
Yeah,
This was just the start.
Roll
And
credits.
since then, hundreds of reports have been made about strange activity in the lighthouse, some of the most common of which are people seeing faces form in a mirror upstairs, the smell of cigar smoke appearing and disappearing out of nowhere, and the apparition of a woman being seen in the window, looking down at the waters below. In 1997, a documentary crew visiting the lighthouse to document the restoration all claimed to have encountered strange activity, seeing apparitions, hearing strange sounds, and witnessing items move when no one was around, including cutlery being placed in an appropriately formal setting at the table.
Mm.
Meanwhile, over on Chambers Island, a lighthouse keeper would report that when he would come to the house in spring to take over the duties, there would be someone else there. From 1976 until he left his post 10 years later, lighthouse keeper Joel Blahnik claimed that on the first night he would arrive in the lighthouse, he would always be awoken by the sound of footsteps loudly thudding down the lighthouse's steps. He would often hear them marching all the way down, before then hearing the eerie sound of the back door latch clicking open, as though it were leaving, having kept watch over the lighthouse for the winter. In later years,
What?
others reported strange incidents, mostly items going missing.
What would you do? Would you keep?
Nah, I think I'm out, man. Roll the credits. Roll the credits. Like, what
First
was that?
day.
The first day? Nah, we're good. We're good.
Oh man, you're all by yourself.
Oh
Man,
my goodness.
sounds good.
Nah, I would probably continue to work there, but I would definitely be up all night after
I'm
that.
not falling asleep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because did it just happen that one time, or did it happen all
No,
the time? It happened all the time, right?
happen all the time, every
Yeah.
night.
So you get not every night. Every night,
Well, the first night, but like
the first night
he said, the first time he was there, someone was there.
that wasn't supposed to be there.
I mean, no. That's
Yeah, that's
Missing and turning up in unusual places.
should have put up a
The
camera.
stories of the Chambers Island ghost
in
quickly spread
1890.
and became
Yeah,
part
sure.
of the tour guide's tales of the place. When a group of nuns were visiting the island, they heard the story of the ghost. One nun, seemingly genuinely affected by the recounting, headed to the side of the lighthouse and began to pray. No reports of paranormal activity have apparently been made since that day
Oh,
in 1987. Rock Island has its fair share of terrifying stories as well. Long-time listeners of the show may recall I featured a personal account of one camper's experiences there. If you haven't heard that one, I'll link it below. Then there is St. Martin Island, which has a tragic little tale that is the perfect primer for a ghost story. The story goes that the ghost of the St. Martin Island lighthouse is a former keeper. The keeper's children attended a school at nearby Washington Island,
That's the lighthouse.
and they would travel by boat
Oh,
to
wait.
and from the school each day. But one
seen it a
day,
little thin.
I don't
the
like
boat
that.
didn't make it back. All his children were lost at sea,
Oh,
never to be
jeez.
found. The keeper searched the shoreline for days, distraught, desperately searching for any sign of his children, waving the green light of his lantern as he did.
Mm.
The story then goes on that one night a schooner was travelling through the area when the lighthouse light unexpectedly went out. Terrified that they were about to hit the hazardous rocks around the island, the boat's crew were relieved when they noticed that a green lantern was being held up on the shore, providing just enough context for how far away they were. The light flickered in the wind and the crew were sure of it. Someone was trying to help them. They jumped into the sea, moving through the water
Yeah,
until they
people-
reached the shore,
People die
leaving the ship
mysteriously in
until
that
morning.
lake every
But as
year.
they approached the light
We used
light
to live
bobbed
right next to
off
it.
further into the island. Assuming it was leading them to a safe place, they followed it through the darkness. It suddenly vanished, but then they noticed another light source. It was the open door to the lighthouse keeper's hut. Light streaming out onto the ground. They walked inside and saw the lantern they had followed left on a table. Next to it lay the frozen dead body of the lighthouse keeper. Entire crews have gone missing in
Wow.
the waters of Lake Michigan, but some of the stranger stories refer to the disappearance of individuals. There are two examples of missing ship captains that I found super interesting. April 28th, 1937, Captain George Ardonna was leading the O.M. McFarland across the northern waters of Lake Michigan. It was just after 10 p.m. that night when Captain Donner told his second mate he was going to get some rest. He asked his second mate to wake him when they were close to Port Washington, which he anticipated they would reach within about 3 hours as the ship cut through the icy spring waters. The second mate heard the captain go into the room next door and claimed he thought he was going through his paperwork, assuming he was getting something ready that he would need for when they arrived in port later that night, before retiring to his cabin. 3 hours later, the second mate knocked on the captain's door, but there was no answer. He knocked again. Silence. He attempted to open the captain's quarters, but the door was locked from the inside. He went to get the master key and returned to find something unusual. The room was empty. The crew searched the entire ship, but no sign of the captain could be found.
Completely.
In October of 1987, a very similar instance happened. Captain Frederick Helling told his crew he would be heading to his quarters at 2 a.m. to get some much-needed rest, requesting they wake him up at 8 a.m. When the crew went to wake him, the captain was nowhere to be found. The Coast Guard searched 900 square miles of the lake and found no sign of the man. The FBI even got involved, interviewing everyone on the ship concerned that foul play may have taken place, but they decided there were no leads to follow up on. The captain was just gone. But it's not just people on the water who have suffered unusual disappearances. There is, of course, the story of Stephen Kubacki. In February of 1978, Stephen Kubacki, a student at a nearby institution, vanished. He had set out alone on a brief cross-country skiing trip around Lake Michigan, one that should have lasted no more than a day or two, but he didn't return. A line of footprints in the snow, stretching roughly 200 yards, traced his path to the lake's edge, and then, without further sign or trace, the trail just ended.
Gone.
Authorities, finding no other clues, concluded that he must have slipped beneath the lake's frozen surface, lost under a thick layer of unbroken ice, although they could find no evidence of this either. A local news report from February 21st describes snowmobilers finding a set of abandoned cross-country skis and a backpack, prompting them to alert authorities. Kubacki was known as an avid outdoorsman, someone who had braved mountain summits while studying abroad in Europe. Cross-country skiing in the chilly, windswept expanses along Lake Michigan was familiar territory for him. There was little unusual about his plans for that winter weekend. The authorities were baffled, and his family had to deal with the fact that they did not know for certain what had happened to him. But then, on May 5th, 1979, more than 14 months after he first disappeared, Kubacki woke up in a field in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, 700 miles east of the spot where his footprints had vanished. He had no memory of the 14 and a half months he had been missing.
What?
And didn't even...
So he was by Lake Michigan, and a year later woke up in a field in Massachusetts and didn't know. Now maybe he's on a bender. Maybe he's, I don't know, but
In Massachusetts. That makes no sense.
Right?
Because depending on where he was, I don't know if he went in from the Wisconsin side, Chicago, Michigan, any of that. But yeah, like, I mean, he was states away to Massachusetts.
Doesn't make any sense.
And unless he's lying.
Yeah, maybe he like,
It could be cap.
maybe he's capping, right? But like,
Right.
why?
Okay. That's
I don't
interesting.
know.
That's interesting.
But
Huh.
what was it?
and immediately realized how much time had passed, until he picked up a newspaper and saw the date. Disorientated, he made his way to his aunt's house in nearby Great Barrington, just 20 miles away. From there, he was reunited with his family. When he reappeared, Kubacki told reporters he was wearing clothes that he didn't recognize. He had a backpack containing maps and signs for hitchhiking, hinting that he had traveled widely. By looking through all this stuff, he realized he had been to places like Sacramento, San Francisco, Reno, Chicago, and Utah. He was carrying $40 in cash. He had a new pair of glasses, sneakers, and a t-shirt from a Wisconsin marathon. In an interview he gave after his return, he did express that his body ached and it felt like he had done a lot of running, suggesting that he may have even taken part in the marathon during this time.
What?
His memory remained intact.
It's like someone like jumped his body for a year and just did stuff.
Somebody
What?
took his body for a test drive.
What? He
Yo.
just woke up. And yeah, I mean, granted, right? Like, it could be his cat.
It could be cat, but it's pretty
Why?
random. It's pretty random. You ran a marathon like through all this.
Man, go ahead.
Act right up until that last day on the lake's edge. He remembered feeling cold and afraid as the frozen darkness closed in. He believes his blackout may have stemmed from exhaustion and exposure. and he planned to see a medical doctor for a checkup. However, he maintained that he was in sound mental health when he began his ski trip, and still was. Later that year, he expressed a desire to retrace his steps and uncover the path he had travelled during those lost months, hoping to solve the mystery of where he had been.
The nigga
In
blacked
recent
out again
years,
for
he has
14
set up a
months.
website and claims he is planning to publish a book on what's happened to him, seemingly suggesting he has managed to restore his memory of those 14 months, at least partially. But so far, he has not publicly said what may have happened, and no date for the completion of this book seems to have been posted. Hopefully, this is a mystery we can revisit at a later date. Even the sky over Lake Michigan isn't safe.
Yeah.
Numerous aircraft have gone dark while flying over the lake. Some have been found as wreckages in the water.
Really?
Others just seem to drop off the face of the earth. The most famous of these incidents is the fate of Flight 2501 in 1950.
Remember Northwest Airlines?
A DC-4 airplane was flying
Mm.
over Battle Creek, Michigan, a little before midnight on June 23rd. On board was a crew of 3 and 55 passengers. Cruising at an altitude of 3,500 feet, the captain was acutely aware of the thunderstorms that were raging over Lake Michigan, adjusting his flight plan to avoid them. Around 20 minutes later, the captain got back into contact with air traffic control, requesting to drop to 2,500 feet. But due to other aircraft in the area, his request was denied. Whatever happened next happened fast. Numerous witnesses on the ground reported seeing a quick flash of light in the sky around this time. Flight 2501 was never heard from again. Over the next few days, small parts of the plane wreckage washed up on the shores around the area, along with parts of people. But it was noted they were all very small parts. Many of the human remains were collected and buried in unofficial unmarked graves around St. Joseph. The full wreckage of the plane was never located, and the cause of the accident, which at the time was the worst commercial airline disaster in America, has never been determined. Around the time the Coast
What does
Guard
that
began
sound
their
like to
initial
you?
search at 2 a.m. on June 24th,
Went through a portal.
Sounds
Part
like
of it.
MH370 or 270. Sorry.
Yeah. It's
Like
like part of it went through a portal.
Yeah.
Not all of
Body
it.
parts are wild though.
Yeah. It's like something like it hit a portal. Not all of it went through. And the parts that didn't make it through, they just fell from the sky, along with the people who were, on the flight.
Didn't make it through either. Jeez.
Yeah. That's crazy.
the
Damn.
policeman reported seeing an odd red light hovering over the lake before disappearing off into the dark of the night sky. They would not be alone. Countless stories of strange flying objects have been reported over the lake throughout the years,
UFOs,
from falling
UFPs.
fireballs to flying discs.
Yep.
But before we get into one of the most famous of those sightings, there is one other strange phenomenon that has been reported within the lake that some have suggested may be connected. For a number of years around the turn of the 20th century, numerous people reported that the water would be seen boiling.
What?
A short newspaper article from 1899 reported that in June of that year, a patch of water out by the bay of Traverse City was seen boiling for a short while, before a great geyser of water bolted upwards to the sky, before falling back down and the water returning to a calm lapping. In 1902, a fisherman drowned in the area. Many claimed he had become a victim of the boiling water. This strange phenomenon was reported on and off until 1917. That year, a Navy ship came into port. The captain of the ship claimed they were there to tow away a confiscated tugboat, but it would be in the city for a couple of days. When a local reporter asked them why, the captain was very evasive. Sensing something strange was afoot, the newspaper sent out a couple of reporters to keep an eye on the Navy ship that night. It was anchored at the exact spot that numerous people had reported the boiling water and the strange sights of water shooting up into the sky. 2 divers were spotted jumping into the sea in the middle of the night, while the deck of the ship bustled with activity. They were only in the water for a short while before coming back up to the ship. The reporters said they couldn't see that they had brought anything back up with them. The Navy ship then quickly left, No reports of the boiling water were ever made again.
Wait, hold
It was
up.
March 4th, 1994.
So
A clear night.
I'm looking at Lake Michigan can appear to be boiling when cold air moves over the water's surface, causing water to evaporate and form steam. This phenomenon is often seen in the winter when the air temperature is well below freezing, but the water temperature is still above freezing. So maybe that explains it.
But they have it. Yeah, maybe.
Let's say real world examples. In January 2025, Grand Traverse Bay and Traverse City, Michigan appeared to be boiling due to the large temperature difference between the cold Arctic air and the relatively warm air. So I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't know if that's the same thing they're talking about, but they explained it.
Right, yeah. We'll keep it pushing.
That's in Grand Haven, Michigan. It was around 9 p.m. and Cindy Pravada was sitting on the phone in her kitchen, talking to a close friend. Her husband was sat in the basement alone watching TV. Cindy's attention was suddenly caught by a light coming through her kitchen window. It seemed to illuminate the entire room. She thought it must have been a huge full moon that night and went to the window to take a look. But when she looked out into the night sky, she didn't see the moon shining back at her. Instead, she saw 4 lights, all in a straight line. None of them were moving, they were just there, just above the tree line of her back garden. Cindy stared at the lights, unsure what she was looking at, when suddenly the one on the far left seemed to glide over the tree line, before slowly moving back into the formation of the straight line. Then the light on the far right slowly moved away from the rest, before zipping off into the distance in a flash. Now Cindy was really baffled.
The hell was
What could
that?
move like that? The lights were so bright that she couldn't see anything behind them, just the light. So bright that it penetrated her home. She apparently stayed on the phone with her friend, describing what she was seeing for half an hour, but didn't own a camera, so never got a picture. She did note, though, that the light, if it were an aircraft of some kind, strangely did not make a sound. In fact, it was so quiet out that her horse was stood just below them, calmly grazing like nothing was going on. Further south in Holland, the Graves family had settled in for an early night. The family consisted of Holly and Daryl Graves, their 14-year-old son Joey, and a 10-year-old daughter. Joey was the first one to notice it. He and his sister had fallen asleep on the sofas in the living room. Their parents had retreated to their bedroom. Joey was awoken by a bright light coming through the windows of their home. Holly was awoken by the sounds of her son screaming for them to come into the living room. When she did, she said it was like a spotlight was being shined on their home. After looking outside, Holly called 911, telling them that there were strange flickering lights in the sky, and asking if anyone else had reported it. At the time, the police said no, this was the first they'd heard of it, but they reluctantly agreed to send an officer over to take a look. Holly and Daryl headed outside to try and get a better look themselves. They could see a shape of sorts behind the light, like a cylinder, and they said it looked like it was made of chrome. It just silently glided across the sky, slowly, almost like a blimp. It appeared to have no windows and a circle of flickering lights on the bottom. Holly turned to her husband, asking what it was they were looking at. Daryl replied, strangely in a calm manner, that it was a UFO.
Yeah, that's what I would have said.
The couple stood outside staring at the object for 20 minutes until Officer Jerry Feldhaus arrived on the scene at 9:43 p.m. He himself stated that he didn't believe in UFOs. He arrived on the scene expecting this to be a prank, or that maybe someone had started a fire. But then he saw it with his own eyes.
So it stayed there the whole time even for the cop to get there?
About to find out.
Oh man.
He saw 2 lights moving to the southwest of the Graves property. The 2 lights were close together and seemed to be flashing from white to green. He then said that one light quickly peeled off from the other, moving further south at an incredible speed. They watched for the next 10 minutes until Officer Velthaus decided to head back to the radio in his vehicle, unsure what he should do in a situation like this. As he walked away, Daryl Graves let out a yell, Officer Velthouse turned back to see that the remaining light had suddenly split into 5 different lights,
Dang.
all of which shot off into different directions. He jumped in his car and began following the lights as they traveled across the Michigan sky. All the while, the sounds of more and more reports being made by concerned citizens carried over the airwaves of his radio. Some people were reporting the lights moving in a straight line together. Others were saying they were making strange movements, joining up with one another before almost jumping across the sky. At this point, around 60 different reports of the lights had come through, so the police decided to contact the radio operator at the Muskegon National Weather Station. The man who was on shift that night monitoring the weather was Jack Bushong. When the police told Jack what they were being contacted about, he assumed it was just a mistake, unaware of quite how many witnesses were beginning to filter through. But he was happy to help, so took a look at the radar over the Lake Michigan area. What he saw, he couldn't really explain. It appeared that there was something fairly large moving around 6,000 feet up in the air and traveling about 100 miles per hour, moving in a southwest direction, which seemed to match up with many of the reports. For about 15 seconds, the object seemed to stop, hovering in place, which Jack admitted to the police radio operator was unusual to say the least. The object then seemed to jump up to 12,000 feet in an instant. Jack assumed this too must be some sort of mistake. But then he began to notice multiple objects on the radar. They would come together into a sort of formation before jumping apart again. He could see 3 of these large objects now. They showed up like they were aircraft, but didn't seem to act like them. An officer on the ground was able to confirm the triangular formation that Jack was seeing on the radar. The object to the north would jump 20 miles, hover for a few seconds. Then the 2 lower objects would copy the movement. They would then remain in the triangle formation for a few moments, before the pattern of movement would repeat again, moving towards Chicago across Lake Michigan. Once the objects reached a certain area of the lake, they seemed to stop. It was noted that this was the northernmost part of the lake that wasn't currently covered by ice. Jack remained, eyes peeled to the radar for the next couple of hours. He claimed he saw dozens of these objects heading to the same location from all different directions, and that they appeared to be able to move up and down by thousands of feet in just seconds.
That's crazy.
Until one by one the objects all vanished from the radar at around 2 a.m. When the next technician came to the station to take over, Jack excitedly told him what he had seen, but the technician didn't seem to be all that enthusiastic about it. The following morning, the Muskegon Chronicle began receiving phone calls from as early as 8 a.m. with people reporting what they had seen the night before, including 2 pilots who were flying over the lake and claimed to see the bright lights in the sky, which they realized were coming from a cylindrical object that traveled at insane speeds. Although due to the stigma within the commercial airliner community regarding UFO sightings, they asked not to be named. Reporter Michael Walsh contacted the 911 dispatch operator and asked if he could get a copy of the 911 calls they had received the night before. And when he heard them, he was blown away. Some sounded terrified by what they were seeing, others amazed. Some described them as UFOs, others had no idea what they were seeing. Unknown to Jack, the radar operator, his entire conversation had also been recorded, and Michael Walsh was now listening to the incredible exchange between the police and the weather station. He realized now this wasn't just some kooks reporting a UFO sighting. This was a serious story, and the newspaper ran it immediately. This quickly got back to Jack's bosses at the weather station, and they were not super impressed that they had been pulled into this story. He was told not to speak about the incident any further. The weather station quickly backtracked on what Jack had reported,
Of course they did.
claiming it could have some sort of natural explanation, but they couldn't say what that explanation would be. Meanwhile, Jack was being mocked by his colleagues who would fill the station up with paper-plate UFOs. Numerous UFO investigators had descended on the area in the wake of the sightings, but Jack's superiors did not allow any of them to contact Jack. He was worried that as a scientist he had now damaged his reputation, and one of his supervisors told him that it would be best if he left Michigan and started fresh somewhere else,
Wow.
which he did, ending up getting a job at the Weather Service in Atlanta until he retired in 2016.
They told
But
him to
this
move
incident
around.
shaped Jack to his very core
It's interesting.
and had a profound impact on his life. In 2021, he returned to Michigan and took it upon himself to talk to as many people who witnessed the events of that night as he could. He had been spurred on to do this after the leaks and admission of several high-profile UFO incidents by the US military. Multiple people that Jack spoke to remembered the incident well, many of them referencing the same movements that Jack had witnessed on his radar, and the incredible speed at which they had moved as well. Jack learnt a very interesting story about a young couple who were camping, not too far from where Jack had reported seeing the lights congregating in one area, and they had a story that had some interesting echoes to the boiling water phenomenon. They were camping by the lake when the wife was awoken by the sound of rushing water. She stepped out of the tent and couldn't believe what she was seeing. Over the lake, far out on the water, there appeared to be a large light hovering in the sky. Underneath the light, she could see what seemed to be a 20-foot wide waterfall. But the water wasn't falling. It was travelling upwards, towards the light. Terrified, the couple fled the scene. All in all, this is one of the most widely reported mass UFO sightings of all time.
Wow.
Over 300 witnesses came forward, spanning 42 different Michigan counties.
Wait, how many?
Leaving
300?
investigators wondering
Yeah.
if 300 people were willing to put themselves out there and actually report it. How many others saw it and didn't contact the police or the press?
Man.
But why does so much of this phenomena happen around Lake Michigan? The easy answer is that such a large area is bound to have some strange stories associated with it. Maybe it is all just a coincidence. But others have pointed to a more recent discovery that may suggest that there is more to this location than meets the eye.
What?
In 2007, underwater archaeologist Dr. Mark Holley and his
The
team
portal to
discovered
another
a
world.
series of rocks under the lake that
What?
appear to have been deliberately placed there around 9,000 years ago.
What?
Shockingly small amounts of research have been done on the
Stonehenge.
stones. Despite what many sources claim, the stones are not anything like the standing stones of Stonehenge,
Oh,
and are instead
mind.
a long line of smaller stones that have been placed in a mile-long stretch along the lakebed. But many of the famous ancient stone locations around the world have been reported as being hotspots
Yep.
for accounts of high strangeness.
We can wrap it up
and
here.
it's hard.
But that's true. Like Stonehenge, there's a
Mhm.
lot of UFO sightings there and like paranormal sightings there.
Yep.
That makes sense because like it wasn't just UFOs, yo. It was ghost ships, people going missing.
Mhm.
Oh, dude lost the whole year, ran a marathon.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's crazy.
Yeah. And those ships or those UFOs, I mean, they kind of sound like that they were in a different like we could see them in our dimension, but like they're almost in a different dimension, like from the way that they can move. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
And they're
going up.
harvesting water.
Yeah, that's wild. But yeah, I've heard stories of like, just this crazy stuff that's just under Lake Michigan. You know, like those stones, like cities, and stuff like that.
9,000 years ago.
9,000 years ago. Right. Yeah, try to compute that.
Wait a second. How old is this? So us as a country is what? Not even
Uh
400 years? No, 200 years? I'm tripping.
established in 17 something,
Oh,
guys.
400? I'm not good with math, but
Math ain't mathin'.
9,000 years ago, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, yo. I thought that was an interesting video though, because they had a mixture of like the paranormal,
Yeah.
the missing, like going missing people, UFO sightings. I mean, I would never want. I mean, I like Lake Michigan in Chicago, but I would never live at Lake Michigan doing all this stuff. No.
You wouldn't have a cabin off
No.
of Lake Michigan somewhere?
I mean, I'm wondering if there's like a Lake Superior story. I'm sure
I'm sure there are.
Sure, there's some Lake Superior stories.
I've heard some. I can't recall them right now, but I've heard some Lake Superior, um, you know, horror stories. So yeah, the United States was 1776. I mean, of course, people were here before then. Um, but yeah, this is 9,000 years ago. We don't know any history about the Americas 9,000 years ago. I
No,
haven't heard anything unless you know something that I don't know, but a
I
lot of
wouldn't
that
have
stuff,
either.
was happening in Africa, the Middle East and all that. So
I'm gonna look into those like stone hedges and stuff like
yeah,
that. Get a video out of that because if that's true, there's something going on. And I thought that like it was a portal.
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah.
I think paranormal and is aliens considered paranormal?
Aliens, yeah,
So yeah, I think like when I think ghosts and aliens, I think they kind of have an energy that mixes some kind of way. 'Cause, like, look at that. Like, look, that's a prime example.
yeah,
People see cryptids, I think, around I think
mhm,
Stonehenge. It's something
yeah. I mean,
profound.
you got the Dog Man in Michigan.
The Dog Man in Michigan, the Wendigo of
Yeah,
Minnesota.
yeah,
Oh, the Dog Man in Minnesota.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and those are Nephilim, in my opinion. But um,
yeah,
yeah, man, that's dope.
yeah.
Uh,
That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy, man. So, and I'm sure there's a lot more stories that what I'm saying that can come from that. That's just a few that they share. Like I said, like you start telling the stories about the things that are under Lake Michigan, it's pretty wild.
I want to know what's in
Pretty
like.
wild.
I wonder if I can find a video on that because
Yeah.
that was just
Um, I think Ancient Aliens did an episode on Lake Michigan because there were spacecraft or not spacecraft. But
really.
they found UFOs in Lake Michigan.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like inside, like people would see like the spacecraft in Lake Michigan. They come up and take off, or they see them going in. Yeah, let's
I'm just looking
see.
on uh-oh. I'm just looking on Google real quick. I'm gonna watch that.
It's fine. Ancient alien, mysterious
Yep,
places.
2010.
Yeah, yeah. The Lake Michigan Triangle.
The Lake Michigan Triangle. Oh, it's the
Yeah,
Wikipedia for it.
yeah. Kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah. So this is just the tip of the iceberg that this video is actually showing. So.
I mean, it's
uh,
interesting because like the things that they're talking about, it's what was it like Benton Harbor, Lugden, yeah, shipwrecks.
mhm. They just seen the ship later with the missing crew.
First UFO sighted in 1913.
God, that's crazy.
And you like I don't know, like you remember like in this story, one of them ships hit something that should that like there's nothing there to hit.
It was like I hit a wall,
It hit a
an invisible wall.
and it sunk. Like, man, there's some and then we told what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico. I think there's a ship out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a whole other story.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the Intergalactic Federation.
yeah, yeah. Because they found that, and then they now they're being voluntarily held at um a base in Pensacola.
Yeah,
The occupants. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
Voluntarily.
this is what discovered at the bottom of Lake Michigan. They found roughly 40 depressions, ranging from about 300 to 600 feet across. Reports the Milwaukee Journal, Centennial's Caitlin Lobby. The craters are located roughly 14 miles southeast Sheboygan, Wisconsin, some 450 feet below the surface of the lake. They're roughly laid out in the line. That's just weird stuff, man.
And it's so close.
Weird.
It's too close to Minnesota for all that.
It's close. Not doesn't border it, but it's close. Yeah, man.
There are craters in the wall. Oh, what is going on in Lake Michigan?
What is happening in Lake Michigan? The people want to know the truth.
Yeah. 300 to 600 across. That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Russ Green, a marine archaeologist, was stunned to see circles on the map. There's circles.
Yeah. Yeah. They have like they got a monster too, Bessie. In the northeastern Ohio, Michigan folklore, Bessie is a name given to the lake monster in Lake Erie, also known as South Bay Bessie or simply the Lake Erie monster. Well, sorry, that's not Lake
Erie.
Michigan. That's Lake Erie.
Kind of like Lake Pippin up here. We have Peppy or Pippy. Peppy is a monster in Lake Pippin.
Okay.
They say, and there's a dude like paying like a lot of money to get if you get a picture of him. He's going to see it one more time. He said.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Okay.
But
Lake Michigan has a strange shape. Look at that.
Share your screen.
Okay, hold on.
I'm looking at it too. It is kind of weird looking.
It looks like a. I got a dirty mind.
The dong.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Guess so.
All right, it's not that kind of show. All right, it's not. All right, y'all. So that is the horrors of Lake Michigan. We're gonna transition over here for game for the gang.
Gang. For the gang.
Yeah. Gang.
Go ahead and play that first one, bro. You got the and then I'm running the bathroom real quick.
Okay. All right. So this is get to it. So this is Goliath. So let's check this out. This is the true side of Goliath.
And there came out from the camp of the Philistines a champion named Goliath of Gath, that's down by Gaza, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. So that would be more than 9 feet high or almost 3 meters high. He was a tall, massive human. He had a helmet of bronze on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and that is a bronze scale armor. So once again, they had the high tech. He was all decked out, had all of his armor. And the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze, or about 125 pounds, or around 57 kilos. So just imagine packing 125 pounds of a coat. And he had bronze armor on his legs, and a javelin of bronze slung between his shoulders. The shaft of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron.
What?
And there came out.
So that was the true size of Goliath. He's basically, 9 feet. He's not as big as the giants that we've talked about. The Book of Enoch and all them had. Looks like he's a little shorter at 9 feet. But apparently that is the giant that David defeated. With the slingshot and the stone, which is in the biblical text. So,
you want me to do the next one?
He's one hell of a warrior. Yeah, you can do the next one.
Okay. So the next one is Abominations.
Yep.
All right, let's check this out.
The Book of Enoch explained a group of mysterious creatures that fallen angels created. Today, that's what we'll be covering in the Book of Enoch. You see, the Nephilim giants are not the only hybrid beings that were created. There were also mysterious crossbreeds between animals and humans. Let me explain. The Book of Enoch mentions how the 200 Watchers experimented on humans and animals to create monstrous hybrid beings. The book reads, the 200 angels choose animals on which to perform unnatural acts, including presumably humans. 200 donkeys, 200 rams, 200 goats, 200 beasts. From every animal, from every bird, from miscegenation. The outcome of the demonic corruption was violence, perversion, and a brood of monstrous beings. They defiled, they begot giants and monsters. Now, as we can see, the Book of Enoch referred to giants and monsters, meaning there were several different hybrids. The Book of Enoch explained.
So that's wild, man. Like you talked about the dog man being a Nephilim.
Is that? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What you saying?
But is that like where we're getting those demonic image, like the goat man, and they're just Nephilim?
I think so, man. These mythical monsters and creatures that we see, man, are are we at least related to them at some point? The giants still exist. They found that giant in Kandahar, in Afghanistan. Yeah. So, I mean, as you believe those who believe that they're fallen angels that created giants and all that. I mean, that the fallen angels could be the Anunnaki, it could be angels, it could be whatever.
You know what's crazy? And it's off topic, but goat made me think about it. Remember I was like I had to talk to John about something. Remember that story that in the dark shift we talking about how like his brother saw like goat man?
Yeah.
John told me he had a dream where he saw this goat man, and it was like, "Why are you scared of me? I haven't even done anything to you yet."
Yep.
He said you're scared of me, and I hadn't even done anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, the goat man, and he's like, yeah. Like I listened to the dark shift, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, what, bro? You got some powers, dog.
Was he dreaming though? Because
he was dreaming.
Because he's able to.
He can out of body. Yeah,
he can do out of body shit. So was he dreaming?
Probably not.
Or was he having out of body?
He didn't know his power. He's too scared. He's about to stop being scared and try to figure out what he's got going on with him.
Right. Because he might be seeing, something in another realm that we can't see when we're, in our bodies. Because
John, if you're listening, man, we'll go do some research. Don't do it without getting research. I'm saying, do your homework.
Do your homework, man, and do some training. Because what you may have seen is an actual being of some sort, right, that we're unable to see in our waking moments, because we can only see the light spectrum that our irises actually let us see.
Right.
Most of the shit that we we can't really see much of anything. Most of the world around us, the existing world around us, is invisible to us.
I have another story to tell you, but I'll tell you after. Let's do one more video. Let's do.
All right, so I'll do. This is crazy. This is more powerful than Lucifer. So check this out.
Do you know of an angel of darkness who is more powerful than Satan himself? In the unfathomable depths of. Do you know of an angel of darkness who is more powerful than Satan himself? In the unfathomable depths of the abyss, where the darkness is as dense as the endless night, there dwells a being whose presence is even more terrifying than the fall of Lucifer himself. His name is Abaddon, the angel of the abyss, supreme general of the forces of destruction, and the one who devastates the hearts of men. When the fifth trumpet of the apocalypse sounds and the abyss opens, Abaddon will lead an army of terrifying creatures, locusts, the likes of which have never been seen before, to wreak indescribable torment upon the earth. He is the king of the abyssal darkness, a being who, unlike Satan, did not fall through pride, but was created to bring chaos in the time of judgment. As ruler of the depths, his existence serves as a reminder that even in the darkest layers of evil, there is a force of destruction that rises against everything and everyone. Do you know?
Yeah, I found that kind of wild. Like, there's somebody worse?
I mean, yeah.
And it's like, hey, he didn't fall because of pride. He created to be the bringer of destruction. What part of the game is that? Like, I mean, he don't care. He's just coming to F stuff up. If that's real, man. I don't know if you listen to those stories on YouTube. They're fictional, but it's basically about how this guy had basically gained access to another reality where hell invaded Earth. Yeah. Yeah, he like had access to it where hell invaded Earth, and they rip a lot of stuff off from the biblical text, man, and it's crazy. It's crazy, man. But you know, they say there are, you know, with these multiverses, anything that can happen has happened.
Have happened.
Which means which means that there's reality where that happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you believe in that stuff, but yeah, I don't know, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, man. Like they talk about these angels coming in with flaming swords and all kind of shit. You know, they're like, you know, 20 feet tall. And yeah, it's wild. Anyways, go ahead and show
Sounds like a video game, bro. All right, I got the next one. It's called "Was the Moon Landing Fake?" And I already know Pops is not gonna like this one, but oh.
Is it
I
working?
gotta share the screen before I play it.
Yeah, you gotta do that.
We might have to replay it. Oh, got a cat sighting. That's nice.
No.
All right.
There you go.
50 years ago, on the first attempt, with 1/1,000th the computing power of a cell phone. And there's never been a technological achievement that no one could repeat 50 years later. It's like me telling you 50 years ago, Toyota made a car that could go 50,000 miles on a gallon of gasoline. And yet today, 5 decades later, the best car can only go 50 miles per gallon, or 1,000th the distance. You would laugh and say the original claim is preposterous. Or 50 years later, and now the farthest they can send an astronaut to the moon is 1,000th the distance that they claim to have done on the first attempt 50 years ago with less computing power than a cell phone, 1/1,000th of the computing power. It just doesn't add up. It's never happened. It's also the only time that they deliberately destroyed a technology. I mean, the B-52 is 70 years old, and there's still 200 of them in service. And yet they admit they destroyed all the Apollo equipment, and they're claiming they have to go back to the moon and recreate it from scratch. They destroyed all the original videotapes, all the original blueprints. You would never do that if you really went. You would only do that if there was a fraud and you were trying to cover your track. What they're claiming is that they went.
Thoughts on that? Because they're saying that they don't have any of that tech anymore.
I mean, I know. I don't know. I know he went to the moon. I know that happened. So I don't know.
But what are they trying to cover up?
Oh, I think there's something up there. Like there's something that they're not to come back. They're like, yep, we're not going back there.
Don't you bring your ass back here again?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these are just the claims. You know what I'm saying? That they're saying. I too agree that we've gone, but we just lied about it. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that we can continue.
If we can send something to Mars, we can go to the moon. I mean, come on. If we can,
right? But it's not a person. That isn't a person to Mars.
Well, I mean, come on. You're right. You're right. Right.
Yeah, it's in person, so it's a little different. But I mean, are there rovers on the moon?
I don't know. I would assume so.
Let me see. Let's see. Yes, there are rovers on the moon, including the U-2 rover from China and rovers from NASA. So, all right, but why aren't we there? Why aren't we taking trips up there? That's what I want to know.
Some of us saying don't come back.
Yeah. So, all right.
Was that alive?
That might be the case. That might be the case. But China's doing some work up there. So, but I don't. They haven't sent people up there.
Right.
All right.
That cat is over here messing around. I don't know what she's doing.
She wants to get on the show. All right, I'll play this Adam and Eve story debunked. Let's. I don't remember what this guy said, but apparently it was interesting to me because I put it on here. So let's check it out.
If you read the Adam and Eve story and don't see nothing wrong with it, I can't help you. Watch this.
Adam and Eve, ate from the tree of what?
The knowledge of good and evil.
Right. So before they ate from that tree, they didn't have an understanding of good and evil, did they?
But they were given the command not to eat from that tree.
But, so, see, here's the thing. I just asked a very specific question that's going to expose the flaw in your thinking. And instead of answering it, you answered a different question. So here we go. Before they ate from the tree, did they know right from wrong?
No.
Okay. If they didn't know right from wrong, how could they possibly know that it was wrong to disobey God and eat from that tree?
If I tell my child not to do something.
I'm sorry, Marjorie, your child already knows right from wrong. Adam and Eve did not know right from wrong. How can you punish someone for doing something wrong if they didn't know it was wrong?
Yeah, just let that marinate in your spirit real quick. If you read the Adam and Eve,
Okay,
I'm not gonna lie,
I posted it.
and I know we do this too much, but it doesn't make sense why he would put a tree for you not to eat from.
Mm.
And like it, why would you? I don't understand the point of that.
Right.
You're all powerful. Why would I put something for you that I normally know you're gonna make a mistake and do?
Especially as you don't know right from wrong.
But I'm not, anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I think it was an upgrade that happened. It's a metaphor for an upgrade that happened.
yeah.
That we were kind of like animals, at first. Like your dog and your cat, they don't really know right from wrong. They're not necessarily self-aware, per se. But and we were like that at one point too. And
Now we have moral.
We were
Well,
upgraded.
yeah, it's morals, I guess, right? Like
Yeah.
don't consider morality.
It opened it we became woke for that time. Like it opened up our third eye, so to speak.
So the dog doesn't know it's being selfish.
No,
Like they don't compute that. Where we know it's
we know it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we know it. We know it. And we like a dog. If a dog kills something, it's by nature. You know what I'm saying? Like not us. We know better. Shell asked a question here. Do you think we saw?
Yeah, I meant to answer that. Yeah. I think they saw some type of entity or creatures up there on the moon that said, "Nah, y'all can't be up here."
Yeah. They said, "Mm-mm. This is our moon. This is not your moon. This is our moon, and we will not allow you to have people up here. They probably had concessions. You can send things up here. You can send non-manned, whatever up here like rovers, but you don't need to be up here because
I mean we went up there a lot too.
Yeah. It's a space station.
Oh yeah. Oh, so that was weird. So last night, I went out and for my boy's birthday. Shout out Jay.
What up,
and
Jay?
I came back home and I was looking at the moon. Like you can come up the stairs, you can see the moon from the window in my little like nook area. I don't know what that is. Anyways, I'm looking at that, and bro, I look down and the shadow walked past like this car, and I was like, I didn't see that. I just kept looking. And I was there for like 3 minutes. Like if one would have got up, she would have thought I was creepy. I was standing out in the hallway, just looking out the window.
A car in the alley?
So there's a car. There's a car right now. There's a car there right now. But it was there. I just looked at the moon. And I looked down at that car, and I saw something walk by it. But it was so quick, and it wasn't a person because they never walked. Like they never walked down the alley. So I sat there, bro. I looked. Unless they had stood behind my garage the whole time. But I was like, I don't know if I saw. You're not sure you saw it or not.
Yeah. And would it have been behind your garage at that point when it passed the car?
Quick too, and it was like it went like that. I looked at the car and it went like that. I was like, and I kept looking. I looked to see if it went by. And I looked to where it came from. I looked for a long. Cause I was about to take a shower. I'm looking. I'm like, did I see that? I was like, maybe I saw a shadow.
Remind me not to hang out in your backyard this summer.
And then
at night.
I think the same day, I thought I had seen ghosts in the window, and it might have been the chair. That one made sense to me. But I thought I saw a ghost on my sidewalk, and then I looked, and he wasn't there, and he was on the other side of the backyard. But it could have been the chair.
Could have been
So
a
I'm
chair.
like, I let that one go, but it won't mess me up. Anyways, we gotta move on.
Wow,
Yeah, move on.
that's pretty freaky. That's pretty freaky. Okay, good story though. So we are at the next session.
Cap or no
Uh,
cap.
Cap or no cap. If you think it's real, no cap. If you think it's not, it's cap. So go we put most of these together. Let's see here. Shell said, "Damn, Minneapolis, it's haunted out there."
Just
Yeah,
my
man.
backyard, I guess. It's like I don't see anything else. I saw that was the first time.
That's why those people moved out that house, man. Your backyard was haunted.
Oh man, they never worked on it.
Yeah. So Kobe put the majority of these on here, so I don't know.
I think the first one's yours.
We're gonna see. Is it mine? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's check this out. What y'all think?
Oh.
Soy yo, mi nieto. Sáquese chichifrí, ando bien chivota. O sea,
What do you think? There's something definitely there. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, bro, I messed up. Hold on.
What's up?
I think it's a cat. But
I think it's just a regular person.
yeah.
Was looking.
Oop, I
freaky.
messed up her notes.
Did you?
Hold on.
I'll just undo.
It won't let me undo on my computer.
Really? On the notes?
I don't see the undo button.
Should be a back button. Or not.
Bro.
Because I've been able to undo stuff.
You can play the next one, bro. I'll try to fix it.
All right. So next one here is called Shadow Style.
Yeah, I named all these.
So Shell thought that last video was cap. And then she said it's a person waving. Yeah, it's a person waving. What kind of person was that? It looked pretty creepy. But yeah, it's probably just a person. It's not like a gnome or troll or anything. It's somebody who looks weird. All right, so let me share this. All right, so Shadow Style, let's see.
Really bizarre. A group of friends were playing a game outside around sundown. One of them was filming while two others stood close together. One guy had his index finger extended and the other was holding it tightly. The one holding the finger counted to 3, and as soon as he finished, the guy with the extended finger quickly pulled it away. But then something strange happened. When you look at their shadows on the ground, you can still see one hand holding the other's finger, even though in real life their hands had already separated. The shadow seemed delayed. It lingered in that connected position for a few seconds before catching up and separating. I've seen clips of people playing this game before, and this phenomenon seems to happen often. It's clearly not a hoax, so the question is, what is this game and how is this even possible? It is truly bizarre.
No cap.
No cap.
No cap. I've seen it too. He's not the first one I've seen do it. And I'm looking at the light. I mean, the shadow it's very good detail because it's even like the shadow, like because this shadow is being casted on his shirt as well. And so once he releases that shadow, you even see the shadow disappear from his shirt.
Yeah. I think it's no cap.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how they're doing that, but Magic does exist, ladies and gentlemen. So just so you know. So yeah, I think it's real. All right. Here, do the next one. Dragon Tales. I think we've seen this one before, but
Maybe I can play it after that.
okay, I got it. All right, let's see here. 2025, we'll have Dragon.
We now have video footage of
Oh, do we? Yeah, I think we have.
dragon flying outside of a passenger plane, and this looks pretty legit to me. And before you ask, no, it is not an AI video. I already went and checked. It turns out to be real. And this has been happening a lot more lately, because if you remember, just a few years ago, this photo was taken in China and it was all over the news. And don't forget, just a few hundred years ago during the Tartarian era, in our encyclopedias, dragons were listed as now rare. So that means they were a real species, but they had become less common. Now, personally, I think that the flat earth German ice wall map from the 1940s is the hidden key to tell us where these dragons flew off to after we had been killing them in the Middle Ages, making them more greater. I think they went to one of these other continents that were not too far away from our own, and they probably went to a place such as Asgard or Terra Vista, the unexplored regions. I think this map shows probably what is actually out there, the closest out of any of these ice wall maps that we've seen so far. We now have video footage of a fire-breathing dragon.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That cockpit isn't moving though. Like the plane isn't moving from that position.
Yeah, and it's just like rocking. Yeah, cat.
Yeah, like
Yeah, ice wall.
yeah,
We start
yeah.
doing the ice walls. Oh, cat. Yeah, cat means not real.
Yeah, not real. No cap is real. I hate these terms. He's silly. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's fake. But that ice wall map is interesting. I don't think that's real either, but it is very interesting.
Asgard. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, I
think
wish
that's fake as well
I
too. Yeah.
want to fight giants. All right.
I do not want to fight any giants, but
You don't. All right.
no, have at it.
This one's called "I Died Recently."
Okay, that sounds interesting.
All right.
You died very recently. Is your headstone close by? Tone terror. Yeah. Okay. Am I going the right direction?
Oh, sorry. If you guys don't know, he's using a they're called like a spirit box. So you can like make them sound certain ways. Some might go through the radio, stuff like that.
Cross the road. Okay. We're going. Go north. Huh. Okay. Is it this direction? Just make sure you tell me when to stop. Cemetery. Yes. Can you give me your name if you don't mind? That gift. Thank you so much, Sarah. Hello. One ghost detected. We must stay. Hurting. I'm so sorry. Tyler. Hi, Tyler. Is your headstone this way? You said go north. This is north. Eugene and Tyler. Am I in the right area?
They mean you harm.
They mean me harm. Listen, I'm not talking to good or bad spirits, okay? Dark spirit. This is sacred ground, you guys. 100% dark spirit. Tyler or Eugene? Do not go. Do you not want me to go any further?
Get out of here.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Yo, Tyler. Is this you? Sure. Thank you for showing us where your headstone is.
Easy to cap.
Yeah.
That's easy to cap.
Yeah, you're right.
Interesting though.
Yeah, I'm gonna say cap.
Yeah, I'm gonna say cap. Interesting. Very interesting.
Dark spirit.
All right. Okay, I will do the next one. What y'all think? So
yeah, the challenge shuttle So y'all know the Challenge shuttle. I think in the 1980,
I think it was 87.
87, it blew up. And so check this out.
All right.
This is Judy Resnick, an engineer and pilot aboard the Challenger mission. An internet user found Judith Resnick, a law professor at Harvard Law School. Some people were a little taken aback by the identical name, age, and like this is Michael J. Smith, also an engineer and pilot aboard the Challenger shuttle. This is Dr. Michael J. Smith, professor of engineering at the University of Wisconsin. This is Sharon Krista McCollin, arguably one of the most famous things about the Challenger mission. She was supposedly just a teacher that was picked at random. This is Sharon A. McCollin, also a law professor who received her degree shortly after the Challenger disaster. Dick Scobie was the commander of the mission. Here's Commander Dick Scobie next to Richard Scobie, the CEO of Cows and Trees. Here's his company's original logo. Ronald McNair and Ellison Onizuka both passed away when the Challenger shuttle exploded. Miraculously, it was found out they both had twin brothers. This is Judy Resnick, an engineer.
Yeah, they both had twin brothers.
Miraculously, there's some they both had twin brothers.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah,
It's probably Cap, but still.
Crazy-ish.
Yeah,
It's probably Cap, but they're I don't know, man. They didn't really try to hide their names very well.
No, not at all.
Like I think they could do a better job at switching the names out. You know what I'm saying? So
Do they have to? What up, homie?
I think I don't know. I think they'd be better off making the names a little, not, completely different. But
I just thought that was cool.
I'm gonna say no Cap.
Okay, I rock with it.
I'm gonna say no Cap. I'm gonna say this is probably a real thing.
No, I rock with it.
Yeah, I don't trust anything our government does. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we're just a couple of days from Jim Crow laws. So coming back. So yeah. All right. Pretty good.
The next one.
Okay.
Time for you in the pooch scoop.
What up, Will? Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it.
Time to get to getting with the dog. We'll see what's going on. Oh man, freaked out.
I don't know what it's looking at.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Maybe it's just me. If that was my dog, I would have left. Ghosts don't play that.
Yeah.
That shaking stuff, that's some real fear. Like I don't know what it's seeing. It may be like a bug. You could be right, but nah, that dogs don't act like that. Like the way he was trying to listen, but he was like, nah, you don't see that.
Right.
Yeah, I would have gone.
So it says no Cap. Animals see things we can't. Yes, they do. Wholeheartedly believe it. No, they do. They can see more in the we can see more in the color spectrum, but there's just they can see other things. Like I said, there's a lot that we can't see in our reality.
He was not feeling that.
Yeah. And I think animals are also their pineal. I don't know if they have pineal glands, but if they do, I think they'd be more open to it, because a lot of stuff that we see that when we come into this existence, and we're taught by adults and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? the thing that's under your bed, you're taught that that's not real. The thing in the closet, you're taught that's not real, and then it's almost like a brainwash type deal. So
Yeah, as a
if
kid, I mean,
you don't believe it, you're not going to see it, right?
yeah, as a kid, you're definitely more sensitive to spirits
Right,
and
right.
see stuff. And
Yeah, they're sensitive to spirits, I believe. Yep, yeah, because nobody's teaching them that it's not real.
I mean, I don't think Ghost has ever seen a ghost before, but I think he might have because the way he when something falls over, I have to follow like my bag. I'll have it set. I'll set it up. If it falls, he freaks the hell out. I'm like, what's wrong?
Right,
It's the
right.
bag. But he's just. I know if we had a ghost in his house, he would freak out. He would
Yeah.
hide it somewhere.
Yeah, not supposed to be there, especially if it's a bad, a bad spirit or something like that.
Right.
Maybe the good spirit wouldn't trip; they'd be happy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know our dogs are happy when they see people, but they're not. If they see people outside the house, they bark and they growl and stuff. But once they come in the house, they're like, "Hey, you're my best friend." So I don't know. All right, I'll show the next video here. Then this next video is called "Excuse Me," right? Yeah, excuse me. All right, so let's see what we got. Cap or not, y'all. Proof the paranormal entities exist. We'll be the judge of that.
Someone said he farted.
Oh God, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. Cap.
Why you say it's Cap?
Oh, like I'm reading the comments. It might have been and he just farted.
He farted?
It looks like somebody bumped him though.
Yeah. Ghost composed of flatulence. Let me see. No, something ran.
Something bumped him. Yeah.
Something ran by him.
Yeah.
No, that's no cap.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't read the comments until now. I'm like, yeah, maybe it was a fart.
Yeah, they try to be funny. They, everybody's got jokes. Everybody's got jokes. All right, you got
Yep, I got the last one.
The last one? Okay.
It's called a Ouija board in the woods. What could go wrong?
All right.
I don't like when I click it and it doesn't like go.
Sometimes it don't go for whatever reason, yeah.
All right, here we go. Hold on. That was
Literally sounds.
Stacy.
What the?
loud as hell. Hold on.
Nope, no. That's. I don't know what the hell that was. I don't know if I want to know what the hell that was. Okay. Somebody tell me what that was. Just keep that a little closer. Is there somebody outside? Yeah. Please leave. Sounds like I said don't. Well, I'm gonna look outside. Ooh, what the f- that was that sound again. What the fuck? I gotta get the hell out of here. Can't even run because it's walked as it walked. It literally sounded.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to hear. That was bleh. Boy playing the Ouija board out in the woods.
That's what his ass get.
Zozo pulled up on him.
Yeah, that's what his ass get. No, that probably happened. That's probably real.
I can tell you what not to do. Stop playing with these doggone Ouija. Man, y'all gotta leave the Ouija boards alone.
Right.
Okay, I'm convinced it's a specific demon. If that's Zozo demon, it's Pazuzu. When you mess with that Ouija board, he coming for you.
Yeah. You gotta leave that shit alone, man. Straight up. Guys, do not mess with Ouija boards.
Don't mess with Ouija boards. It's his hands, bro, and I get it. I get a toy company makes it. Just leave him alone.
Yeah, I used to not I used to think that too, because it's man-made, it's whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's made by, like I said, Hasbro, whatever. But I don't know, man. You can create you can cast spells with stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like with sigils and things like that. And because you look at those Ouija boards, it's almost like you can see the spell in it.
Yeah.
The way it's set up. So yeah, leave that stuff alone. Like Shell said, it's opening up a portal. Yeah.
I think we forget that it's how easy just because something man-made doesn't mean it can't be spiritual. Like, what do you think an occult is? An occults worship demons so they can get they conjure these things.
Mm-hmm.
So like some things are out there that are there for you. They could conjure. Man, I need to find, bro. Did I ever show you that story? Of that guy. He was he had to collect like creepy artifacts. We can move on. But he let us collect creepy artifacts. Actually, low key, we can call it soon if you want. Game for us in an hour.
Yeah. Let me
Let's call it after this story real quick.
I'll do
a few videos.
I'll do lizard people. But no, just real quick, let's just stay on the occult real quick. There's this guy named Aleister Crowley. He is considered the most evil person to ever exist. Born in 1875, died in 1947, and his place of residence. He worshiped the devil, whatever. And his residence where he lived, he summoned so many things. What he was trying to do was create the Philosopher's Stone, and I know you know about the Philosopher's Stone, but he tried to summon so many things to help create this Philosopher's Stone that where he lived is just thick with evil spiritual energy. Like, YouTube Aleister Crowley one day. It is
Aleister
Crowley. Aleister Crowley. And yeah, he went deep into the occult. He's probably the most occult of the occult. Yeah.
His eyes look evil.
Right. Like he's like this guy. He's what do they say? He was a English occultist, ceremonial magician, poet, novelist, mountaineer. So he was writing stuff on his floor and trying to summon things like that. That's what a spirit board kind of is. It's a summoning spell, basically. So be careful with that, guys.
We should definitely cover Aleister. His eyes are haunting.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. Just looking at him, I see evil. That's crazy.
You're gonna have the the overview and all that stuff.
I'm gonna show y'all real quick. Yeah, but just look at him. Look at it. Look at his face. Look at that.
That is a depiction of evil.
Look at that. Is crazy.
That is a depiction of evil, guys. Telling you, he could do some things, and also they said when he was dying on his dying bed, he said that he regretted everything that he did before. He regretted it all, and he was asking God to save him. So
too late.
Yeah, man.
Who are these other people?
Yeah, some of the
Who is Lola Zaza Crowley? What?
What is that's a daughter.
We're going too deep now.
Yeah, that's a daughter. Yeah, we'll start going down a rabbit hole with this. But yeah, Yeah, look this guy up, man. Don't do what he did. But yeah, that stuff works, man.
Ooh, I don't like the way that made me feel. Yeah, let's move on.
You felt it in your spirit because you know you're an empath.
I don't like that shit.
Yeah, you're an empath. Like you can feel stuff. You know what I'm saying? You
Her name
probably
was Zaza Crowley.
right. And you know why he named her Zaza Crowley.
Fuck? Are you serious?
Yeah, you know why he named her that.
That is weird, dog.
You know why he named her that.
Let's move on. Let's do something different.
All
yeah,
right.
he's evil. Or
Yep.
he did evil stuff.
Very evil things. Very evil things. So I'll share the story. What happened to it? Yeah. I entitled it Lizard People.
We're building solo dolo at the crib right now.
Are you solo dolo?
Yeah, Lauren's at her mom.
Well, do not look up Crowley while you are.
No.
You're by yourself. Rumor had it that he has been summoned by people before. It did not go well.
Like they meant to summon him?
Yeah, they meant to summon him.
Yeah.
It didn't go well. It didn't go well. So all right, here I'll play this. So story time. She's just gonna sit here and sip on her drink and tell a story, but I found the story pretty fascinating. So after this story, we'll go ahead and close it out. So check it out.
The story time I'm about to share with you is in the top 3 most unsettling emails I've received since starting Spooky Scary Storytime. It came from an ecologist who claims that his superior, his boss, was not of the human race. You can skip to this part if you want to start the story right now, but I feel like there's a few disclaimers that I have to get off my chest before I start this story. First off, I'm only going to tell you what he said in the email. I'm not going to inject my own opinion because we listen, we don't judge. Second of all, he does not follow me, but his daughter is a fan of Spooky Scary Storytime, which is how he found me and why he submitted his story. Apparently, she's been following very closely the Diorb bags videos, and she thought that this was relevant somehow to what's going on. The Dior bags is a whole nother rabbit hole, so go down that if you haven't. But third, this man sent me this email from his real name. He asked me to please keep him anonymous because his career is on the line, which is why he's never told this story publicly. He said he's very well respected in an academic and professional sense. Literally the reason I get the good stories is because I respect people's anonymity. Finally, before I start the story, I'm going to censor certain words because media in general does censor a little bit certain things. So you're going to have to fill in some blanks, but I will try to make them as clear and concise as possible. This man said I could refer to him as Dr. Corbin. He's been an ecologist for the last 20 years. He is extremely well respected. He has published papers. He has contributed to scientific journals. He's a big deal. Sometime in the last 20 years, he was doing a research expedition at Yasuni National Park in Ecuador. It is part of the Amazon rainforest, and he said it's extremely unique in that it's one of the most biodiverse places on Earth, and it has extremely unique climatic conditions. To put it simply, he was there to study biodiversity. He said these research expeditions usually last anywhere from a few weeks to a few months, but this specific expedition was 8 weeks, and he was there with a few people that he knew, but it was a relatively large team. One of the guys he's there with, he went to school with to get his PhD, and he knew him relatively well. He said that this man had never said anything about like fringe theories, like he was very scientific minded. He said his entire team was working under the supervision and hand of somebody named Dr. Vola, not her real name. He had never met Dr. Vola, but she communicated with them pretty much just through email, and a few of his bosses that were on site knew her. His friend who he went to school with had also met Dr. Vola on a previous project. So after 2 weeks, when the team was there, Dr. Vola was coming out to the station where they were all staying. And the night before she gets there, Dr. Corbin is asking Dr. Joe, like, what's she like, what's she like working with? And Dr. Joe just says point blank to him, she's a lizard. Not what he said, but you know what I'm saying. He said there was no sense of like sarcasm, of like joking in his voice. So Dr. Corbin's like, what do you mean she's a lizard? And Dr. Joe is like, yeah, like you'll see when you meet her. Like everyone knows, everyone accepts it, but that's just what she is. Dr. Corbin obviously thinks he's joking and doesn't take him seriously because, again, he had known Dr. Joe since they were in school, and Dr. Joe had never exhibited any like conspiracy theorist tendencies. He had never said anything like that before. So he's like, obviously he's messing with me. Dr. Corbin said at this point in his email that he's experienced a lot of strange things that he can't explain in his work. He's experienced weird animal noises, weird animal behaviors, weird noises in the jungle, weird lights in the sky, but nothing could have prepared him for meeting Dr. Vola. She arrives the next day. He said the first thing he noticed about her was her complexion was one of the things that made her beautiful. He said it was like glass. Like he didn't know the words then because this was before social media, but he said it was like she was wearing a filter in real life. But he wasn't trying to flirt with her. Obviously, she was his boss. He was actually intimidated by her because not only was she stunning, but she was incredibly smart, and she appeared to be a lot younger than him, even though he was relatively young when this happened. He said that was surprising to him because when she arrived on site, he expected some respected doctor that had been in the field for 20 or 30 years. When she gets there, she basically doesn't interact with anyone, but she gives people certain assignments. And he said the second thing he noticed was her movements. They were almost too smooth, like they were calculated, like she was trying to figure out a way to fit in naturally with other people she was around. The day after she arrives, her and the team venture out into the jungle. They're working on something. And he said he noticed that her skin was weird in the sunlight, like it was almost reflective. But then he thought it was just his mind playing tricks on him. It was so hot. And then he realized she wasn't sweating. So he started paying attention to it the next few days. She never had a bead of sweat anywhere on her. Every night the team ate together. She would always remove herself from the situation. She never ate with the team. She never had a snack. She claimed that she had certain allergy restrictions that prevented her from eating normal food. Not that weird, but what was weird to Dr. Corbin was that she always seemed to be near animals in their final moments. Dr. Corbin said he really didn't recognize it at first because in the rainforest, creatures succumb all the time to predation, illness, or just the elements of the rainforest. But after about a week, her proximity to their final moments became too obvious and too frequent to ignore. In one case, he said they were tracking a giant anteater for a few weeks. It was an elder male. It was scarred. It was majestic, and they had been monitoring its activity for a few weeks. One night, their GPS tracker on the giant anteater stopped tracking. It was later in the afternoon, but it was still light out, so Dr. Corbin and a few of his colleagues went out to find it. And they come to it, and they see Dr. Vola crouched over it. Her face is almost touching it, but when she saw them, she stood up and straightened herself. She muttered something about checking for signs of it being attacked by a predator, but the team took samples and they concluded that it had passed from natural causes. But what struck Dr. Corbin was Dr. Vola's behavior later that night. She seemed energized. She seemed like she was invigorated by something. He said when they returned to the base, her movements were sharper and quicker, like she had just had a surge of adrenaline. It wasn't just the anteater. After that, he noticed if something was dying, she was there. It was birds, frogs, small mammals, and every time she seemed to have a surge of energy afterward, like she fed off of it. He said obviously he has no way to prove it, but he felt like she was feeding off of something, their life force, their distress. He said over the next few weeks, Dr. Vola spoke very little, but when she did, she seemed to reveal information that she couldn't have possibly known. The results of experiments before they had concluded, the location of animals before they looked at the tracker. One evening, he decides he's going to joke with her. He's like, Dr. Vola, you are psychic, or you have a satellite feed in your brain. He said that her reaction stunned him. She stopped what she was doing, stared him dead in the eyes, unblinking, and said, Dr. Corbin, jokes are dangerous, and you don't want to ask questions with answers that you can't live with. He laughed nervously, but she just turned away, and later that night, she approached him when he was alone. She asked him if he knows how fragile humans are and how easily they can fall apart. Then she tells him that the jungle respects strength, not fragility, and honesty, not jokes. Dr. Corbin said his breaking point on this project came a few weeks later. He was watching the night trail cams and he spotted something odd in the trees. It was about human size, but it moved like a reptile. It had reflective eyes and it moved with a speed unbeknownst to him. He said at this point in his career, he was very familiar with most of the species that lived in the rainforest and he had no idea what this was. The timestamp the video showed was during one of Dr. Vola's solo patrols. The next morning he confronts her and he tells her basically like, I think the light or the camera messed up because like, look at what I found. And she watches the footage and she looks at him and she says, delete it. And he was like, I don't know what it is. Like, look at the elongated neck. I think we should study this. Like, we should try to find whatever this is. And she leans in closer and she says, delete it. He tells her he would, but he didn't. And then later that day when he checked his laptop, the footage was gone. A few weeks later, the project concluded and he went home. He's back in the US now and he has not worked with Dr. Vola since, but he said he believes that some things walk among us that are not human, even if they appear to be. I'm genuinely curious your thoughts on this. Please let me know what you think, if you know what this was, if you believe that she really was a lizard, or if you think he's full of it. Dr. Corbin, thank you so much for sharing your story. I really, really enjoyed this story, even though it is unsettling to me, because I always am impressed or taken aback.
Anyways, that was story time. That doctor was a draconian. For those of you who don't know who the draconians are, they are lizard people. They are lizard people, and they don't like us. And they are able to feed off of life forces, pain, distress, and also they feed off of meat, preferably people. So they've been here longer than we have. Supposedly they live underground, but they're not from this planet, just like how we kind of aren't. But they're definitely not from here.
The jungle's not a place for jokes.
Right. She's letting them know, like, hey, look, everybody knows what I am. Okay,
That's
Who
wild.
you?
They're
Yeah.
like, I was the person, and they're like, nah, you'll see.
Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, don't even trip. You'll see. Yeah, nah, she was a lizard person. Ew. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the miniseries V, the final battle.
They remade it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, you're right. They did remake
Right.
it. It wasn't very good. It was the remake was trash, but the original one, man, Hollywood is trying to tell us that this stuff exists. This stuff is real. Yeah. I mean, people are creative. You can come up with stuff out the blue. You can, people have imaginations and all that good stuff. But some of this stuff that they show you, a lot of it is actually real shit.
Dude, that's terrifying. I was freaked out by Zozo, and now I'm freaked out by lizard people.
Right. Because the Draconians, like, they actually exist in our reality, in our three-dimensional holographic fractal reality. And not only that, but rumor has it that they are able to slipwalk as well. Just like Sasquatch and what are those other things, Kobe? Skinwalkers and things like that. So let's see here. Shell said, yep, I remember that when the remake was trash. Yep. Lots of lizards to stay away from my fur babies. Yeah, because the beings on V, they ate animals.
Pets.
Yep. So they're eating dogs. They're eating cats.
Illegal aliens for real.
Right. For real. So, but rumor has it that that these people are they can look like us. They can act like us. They have infiltrated our governments. They are really the shadow government. It's not just the Rothschilds and those rich families. It's these things, and they feed off of our despair. That's why life is so miserable here to us common folks. So, anyways, that is a story of the lizard people. And we weren't playing our little music.
Yeah, play it.
Yeah.
Well, that was the lizard people, and there we go. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Minute Letters. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Enjoy the Super Bowl.
I'm about to go a little Super Bowl birthday thing. That should be fun. A lot of birthdays. All you February birthdays, man.
Yeah. A lot of folks born in February, man. A lot of folks born in February. Mine is coming up on Wednesday, so I'll be working and not celebrating. It's all good though. But you guys be safe out there. Probably remember to like, subscribe, share, and go with one of the most important things.
Don't whistle at night.
Not whistle at night.
I can't even whistle, so
good for you, because I can't.
Yeah, y'all take care of yourselves, and have a good week. Have a good rest of your day.
We're in Minute Letters. I'm Shad.
I'm Kobe.
And we out of here. Peace.
Giants.
People who came from the sky.
Yeah.